You ever seen a man break, not over a lost love or a mischance, but over something so deep it's like his soul got ripped out and left bleeding in the dirt? I didn't cry when my dad passed. Didn't flinch when the bank nearly snatched this ranch back in '09. But the morning I found my three-prize bull's horn sawed off, blood pooling in the dusty, felt something snap inside me. Not just anger, not just grief, but something raw, like the land itself was screaming through me. And the kicker? It wasn't some random vandal or a teenage prank. It was my neighbors, the HOA VY purse led by Susan Caldwell, the same folks who'd nod at me every Sunday with smiles sharp as switchblades. They called it community standards. I called it war. Out here, land isn't just dirt you own, it's who you are. And if Susan thought she could hide behind her fancy bylaws and clipboard, she was about to learn what happens when you cross a rancher's bloodline. It started on a morning so wrong, even the sunrise felt like it was glaring. I was barefoot, coffee cup slipping from my hand, when the smell hit sharp, bitter, like regret soaked in iron. I stumbled to the bullpen, half awake, and froze. My bulls Duke, Titan, and Rex the Heart of Red Hollow Ranch were pacing wild-eyed, their horns gone, hacked off clean, blood glinting in the dawn. My knees buckled. For a second, I just stood there, heart pounding so hard it echoed in my teeth. Then came the rage, not loud, but cold, the kind that could freeze hell itself. Someone had touched my cattle, my legacy, the thing I'd built post by post, dream by dream. They'd pay. Oh, they'd remember. I didn't know who yet, but I had trail cams. By the time I got to court, jeans still stained with bull blood, boots tracking red hollow dust. The whole town was there for the show. Me on one side, armed with a thumb drive of footage that had burned Susan's HOA kingdom to the ground. On the other, Susan in her pastel blazer, gripping her clipboard like a lifeline, flanked by her lackeys, Tom and Lisa Harper. Tom looked like he'd already lost a fight with a fence post. Lisa had her emotional support ferret because apparently felonies are easier with a rodent in tow. Judge Elena Carter didn't blink as she watched the footage. Susan sneaking, Tom sawing, the bulls thrashing, Titan nearly flattening Tom. When it ended, she leaned back, fingers steepled, and fixed Susan with a stare that could curdle milk. "Ma'am," she said, voice like a blade, "for what you did, you and your friends get 5 years of community SARE VYC. At his ranch, under his super VY shown." The room gasped. Susan's Botox twitched. Tom started calculating cow pies in his head. Lisa's ferret just keeled over, limp as a dish rag. And me? I smiled, wide and mean, the kind that says, "You dug this hole, darlin'." Susan sputtered, while VYing papers, threatening to sue the judge, the state, even me for emotional distress VY a cow proximity. Judge Carter slammed her gavel so hard the windows shook. "One more outburst, and you're mucking stalls before lunch." Case closed. Susan Caldwell had just signed up for 5 years of ranch reckoning. But I knew her type. She wouldn't go quietly. No, she'd sharpen that clipboard into a shank and come swinging. The first day of Community SARE VYC was hotter than a skillet, the kind of heat that makes rattlesnakes beg for shade. I met them at the gate. Tom in cargo shorts and Crocs, Lisa with a water bottle the size of a toddler, and Susan dressed like she was auditioning for a ranch-themed Instagram shoe designer boots, pressed flannel, nails like warning signs. "Welcome," I said, tipping my hat. "Today's lesson, why you don't butcher a rancher's bulls." Their first task? Shoveling 80 pounds of manure per bull. No shortcuts, just sweat and suffering. Tom gagged, so hard his sunglasses fogged. Lisa shrieked every time a fly buzzed her. Susan refused to touch the shovel, barking orders like she was running a corporate barn. I handed her a wheelbarrow. "Transport duty," I said. "Management skills required." She glared like she'd gut me with her manicure. I tossed her rusty gloves and grinned. By noon, Tom had stepped in 2 fresh cow pies. Lisa dropped her water bottle in the muck. Susan was Googling rural labor laws on her phone, muttering about hostile work in VY environments. But here's the thing. The land doesn't care about your HOA title or your follower count. It humbles you or it breaks you. By week's end, Tom's sunburn made him look like a boiled crab. Lisa was journaling her trauma, in sparkly pens. Susan filed a grievance on pink stationery, claiming aggressive cow glares. I framed it in the barn, not for legal reasons, but because it reminded me this wasn't just punishment. It was a lesson, the kind you only learn when the dirt grinds you down. Then things got weird. Week 2, I caught Susan by the fence line, staring at the horizon, not at her phone or her laminated schedule, just at the land, like it was whispering secrets. Later, my friend Maria, who'd been keeping an eye on this soap opera, found a file in the barn office, labeled in faded cursive. Saw Caldwell lease, 2008 saw. Inside were zoning maps, legal loopholes, and Susan's name. Turns out, long before she was HOA queen, Susan owned a sliver of red hollow along the creek. She lost it when her ex-husband sold it in a shady city deal. This wasn't about my bulls or property values. It was about regret, about a piece of earth she couldn't claw back. That night, under a sky full of stars, beer in hand, I realized Susan hadn't just trespassed on my land. She'd stumbled into her own past, and regret's a mean thing to bury it always claws its way up. Maria had an idea to speed up the lesson, the Red Hollow Olympics. Break their pride, she said, handing me a beat-up cowboy hat with a grin. We set up hay bale stacking, calf tagging, and goat lassoing, inviting half the county to watch. Susan showed up in tactical yoga gear, hydration pack bouncing like a backpack. Tom tied an HOA bandana around his head like a discount Rambo. Lisa's neon leggings could have guided ships. The crowd brought lawn chairs and popcorn, ready for justice with a side of schadenfreude. Susan flopped backward into straw after 3 hay bales, flailing like an upturned beetle. Tom chased a calf like a drunk uncle at a barbecue, panting so hard a goat bleated in pity. Lisa, to her credit, roped a calf like it was a TikTok trend. But the goat lasso? Susan squared up, rope in hand, nostrils flaring. The goat, named Pickles, waited, then darted under her legs. Susan spun, tripped, and face-planted in what I hope was just dirt. The crowd roared, not out of hate, but because they saw a woman who ruled by paperwork lose to a goat. Something shifted, that day pride cracked, walls fell, and for a moment, we were all just messy, real people. Then we found a real secret. In the barn loft, behind broken tack and mouse droppings, Maria dug up a batter box. Inside were deeds, clippings, letters tied with crumbling twine and Susan's name. Not as Caldwell, but as Susan Harper, tied to Red Hollow Ranch, 1947. Her family ran cattle here for decades until a recession foreclosure shattered it. The city carved it up. Her family fought and lost. Susan was a teenager then, old enough to remember the rain-soaked grass, the sting of losing everything. Maria looked at me, voice soft. This isn't just a fight for her. It's a wound. I didn't want to feel for Susan, not after my bulls, but standing in the dusty loft, I got it. She wasn't here to destroy. She was trying to reclaim something she thought she'd lost forever, just didn't know how to do it without a fight. By the final harvest, things had changed. Susan wasn't clipboard-wielding anymore. She was working, hands blistered, boots worn, hair tucked under Maria's old rodeo cap. She heaved hay bales onto the truck beside me. No complaints, just sweat and grit. Tom was cursing a splinter, Lisa was wrestling Pickles, and Maria was laughing. The ranch felt alive, not perfect but whole. Last one, Susan said, brushing straw off her jeans. We leaned against the truck, tired, sweaty, but at peace. Not bad for city folk, I muttered. Susan snorted. Tom saluted. Lisa, tangled in rope, waved from the dirt. We weren't friends, not enemies, either, just a ragtag family, the kind you bleed beside and wouldn't trade. Then Susan handed me an envelope. No words, just a nod, like we'd serve VY vet a war we didn't start. Under a bruised sunset, I opened it. A deed, her tiny slice of red hollow, signed back to the ranch. A note, for words in shaky ink. Saw for the bulls, for you. So I didn't know what to say, didn't need to. It wasn't VY Tory, it was rain on cracked earth. Susan walked off, helping Tom and Lisa with the tarp, not looking back. Winter came, frost blanketing the fields. Every morning, I'd pass where a plot used to be and smile. No more borders, no more wars. The town changed toolless lawsuits, more potlucks. Kids biked the ranch road with fishing poles. Each fall, we held a hoedown rodeo, barbecue all heart. Susan, now queen of the cattle queens, ran pie contests. Lisa sold honey. Tom's feed truck business took off, bumper stickers everywhere. Moo Crew, we deliver. Maria stayed, not because she had to, but because she chose to. One evening, by a new fence, not a barrier, but a promise, I looked over the land. Red Hollow wasn't just a ranch anymore. It was proof. People change, broken things mend, and even a bull without horns knows who he is: proud, stubborn, unstoppable. If you ever pass a crooked sign saying, "Welcome to Red Hollow Ranch, home of second chances and the world's ornery goat," you found it. A place where grudges die at the gate, respect grows like wild grass, and a bull, a ranch, and a stubborn crew prove the best fences don't keep folks out, they invite them in.